Good evening, everyone. Hope you're all doing good. Had a good week. Good to see you. Tomorrow is actually Vesak in the Tibetan calendar, so it's the Buddha's birthday. Actually, this whole lunar month is, in Tibetan tradition, the celebration of Sagadawa. So Sagadawa is the celebration of the birth, enlightenment, and the parinirvana of the Buddha. So it's a good time to up your practice, because it's said in the Tibetan tradition that whatever you do in terms of your Dharma practice, whatever perfections you practice, giving, virtuous actions, diligence, patience, meditation, and wisdom, any of those are magnified 10,000 times. So it's a particularly auspicious time to practice. Tonight we're going to get back to reading the Lotus Sutra, which we did a few weeks ago. But again, as we typically do before we receive Dharma teachings, we take a moment to clear our minds, to become a suitable vessel for the teachings, that we put aside what we think we know and are willing to and ready to hear something new, if we can, with the intent that what we receive we can think about, develop confidence in, and put into practice in our daily lives with the altruistic motivation. This being, we want to practice and learn about Dharma for the benefit of ourselves, so that we gain complete spiritual emancipation, and that others, all sentient beings without exception, also obtain complete spiritual freedom. So with that in mind, we'll go back to our discussion of the Lotus Sutra. So we were in the Lotus Sutra, and we were discussing one of the most famous parables that's contained in it, and that being the parable of the burning house. And so where we are now in the text is where the elder, who is the father of the children in the burning house, devises a way to get them to come out by tempting them with the promise of whatever they desire. All these things would be waiting outside the gate when they leave the house, but they had to come immediately. So again, this is an analogy as to how the Buddha has provided for all sentient beings, as his omniscience knows that although sentient beings are alike because of our conditioning, karma, the kleshas, they all have different preferences, they all have different aversions, desires, abilities, proclivities. So the Buddha has to bring all of this. He has to meet sentient beings where they are and at their level. So in this way, the most beneficial teachings and practices can be given by a teacher who understands the student. And as I've emphasized before, Buddhism is rich with variety of different types of teachings. So it's important that people's needs are, since they're different, they should be met. Knowing here how to direct their attention appropriately, however, is crucial in terms of being able to navigating all the varieties. So because there's so many different types of teachings in Buddhism, it's important to have a teacher who can know you, understand you, and direct you in the proper direction, and tell you where on this singular path there are many different types of subpaths, where what things can be most effective for you. So let's keep reading now. We'll go on to the next selected paragraph. So then the elder, seeing that his children had safely escaped and were all sitting in the open square outside of the house, and they were no longer in danger, he was very relieved and ecstatic with joy. And then each of the children said to their father, the elder, "Those playthings you promised us, the great carriages, the deer carriages, and ox carriages, please give them to us now." Sariputra, then the elder, gave each of his children equally a great carriage. They were tall and spacious and decorated with many jewels. They had railings around them, with bells hanging on all four sides, and each of them was covered with a canopy which was also splendidly decorated with various rare and precious jewels. Around each was a string of precious stones and garlands of flowers. Inside there were beautiful mats and rose-colored pillows. Pulling each of them was a handsome, very powerful white ox with a pure hide, capable of walking with a smooth gait. And just as the speed of the wind, each had many servants and followers to guard and take care of them. Why was this? Because the great elder's wealth was so inexhaustible, his many storehouses so full of treasures. He thought, "There is no limit to my wealth. I should not give inferior carriages to my children. They are all my children. I cherish them all equally. I have countless numbers of these large carriages with 7 precious materials. I should give one to each of the children without discrimination. I have so many large carriages, I could give one to everyone in the land without running out. Surely I can give them to my own children." Then the children rode on the great carriages, having received something they had never before and never expected to have. So here the idea again is put forward that the items that the elder assembled for the children are really like the Dharma, right? And when we talk about the different paths in Buddhism, we talk about the vehicles, right? And a cart is a vehicle. It's a mode of transversing a path. So there's that metaphor that all of the various carts decorated with the beautiful jewels are different vehicles in the Dharma. And they were splendidly decorated and full of jewels and precious things. So in Tibet, we call the Dharma the precious wish-fulfilling jewel. So the Dharma is like this inexhaustible source of benefit and happiness for sentient beings. So the Dharma is like almost like a genie in a bottle that will fulfill all of your needs depending on what they are. So we say it's simply a storehouse of treasure if only we can recognize it as such. So the next time we get back into the Lotus Sutra, we're going to, I've given my own little commentaries about what the Buddha is alluding to here, what the author of the Lotus Sutra is alluding to here, but now, in the actual reading of the parable, the Lotus Sutra is going to give its own interpretation of the story of the burning house. And so those remarks are my take on it. And next time we'll read the remarks and talk about the Buddha's commentary. Okay? So for tonight, we'll finish up by reading the sharing of merits and the refuges.